Couple of words to describe Simon.
Okay.
It's so special because it's so much them. Everything else they've done, they've adapted somebody else's property, but this was theirs from the word go. And the meticulous planning and the ideas behind it, they're all pretty much Simon. The garden's pretty much Soraya. So the two have melded together really well. So there were many times I thought this project wouldn't come to fruition. It seemed to go on for such a long time. There were so many knockbacks, but they wouldn't give up. And Simon's very like that. You know, once he has an idea, he's got to carry it through. And he certainly did. And it's all come together magnificently. I mean, the scale of the house and the design is just so different and so individual. The first time we came round for a proper meal, the furniture was in, it was beautifully decorated, and that was the thing that they could enjoy, having the friends around and cooking in that spectacular. It's really an industrial kitchen. It's not a domestic kitchen at all. One thing I would really miss about the house is the dining area with the kitchen, because I've spent so many happy times sitting there, eating and talking to them both, and obviously to Lara and Ibby, their children. I'd describe the two of them as chalk and cheese. They're very different. Their ideas and the backgrounds, culturally, everything else are very different, but they've taken little bits from each other and they've made them fit together. And that's come together in the house too. That's shown how they've evolved as a couple. The house evolved too, down to everything from the quality of the floor tiles to some of the artwork, some of the things that are in the house. For example, the massive train that was Simon's dad's, I think he built that. I don't imagine Soraya really liked that too much, but it's there. And then she's brought other things, like there's a beautiful acrylic handbag that lights up. That's her thing, so that's completely different. But the two look great in the house, so it doesn't matter that they're different.
We had a brief, had one, maybe two bottles of wine, talking around their ideas for the garden and how it would work. They had so many ideas that they were trying to articulate through what we began to sketch. So I came back thinking I'd captured everything, and I remember them sitting down and looking at the plan. And sort of, I could see them both looking at it kind of, because in their minds they'd imagined something else. But it was great because because it was a starting point. That was the start of the garden. So one of the big things was the fin, the wall, and you see the gable end of the house and the bridge and then the steps and then the tree, and it was all about this axis. There was this really, and as it moved through the garden it became less and less formalised through the garden, so that was one of the key drivers. And then there was the tree, and it was a conversation, I think we were with Ed, and there were three of us were chatting about the tree, and we said, well, you love this tree is amazing, why don't we try and move the tree? Every time I see it, I'm so proud that we didn't just take the tree out. If I close my eyes, I'll say the place I want to be is in there, because I never got to swim in the pool. It's the most magical garden that we've ever created, because it's somewhere that I feel very proud of being part of the design, part of helping to create the design along with Simon and Soraya. But actually coming back, it looks better. It's matured and it's become a place that I could live in. I could live in this garden, and that to me is a success of the design, really. I do remember Soraya's passion for the garden and actually how she perceived how she would use the space. We tried to capture all of those ideas, and she was so proud of it. Every time we've changed planting, we've put planting in, and we joked around some of the colours. We came with colour charts of types of plants, and she was not having blues, she was not having purples in the garden. That was kind of an absolute no-no. Soraya was, for me, she was in a comfort zone. She wasn't scared to talk about ideas and to challenge the design and test it, because she wanted more. She wanted to get much more out of it, as much as she possibly could, which to me is the best kind of client, the ones that actually push you to become a better designer, because you're trying to deliver their ideas.
I was warned by various people, I can't remember who now, but that it was going to be a real uphill journey to do that because of how intimately involved Simon likes to get in these things. Some clients want to be completely guided by you, and others like him want to bounce ideas and develop ideas together. I mean, the portcullis is a classic example. I also really loved the challenge of doing a contemporary house in a conservation area. I'm an absolute passionate believer in that architecture should be of its time, and they'd virtually never allowed a contemporary house to be built in this part of Altrincham/Bowden. The one thing that will remain in my memory about this house, even if I am unable to come here again, is exactly where we are now, this view. This is an amazing transformation from what it was as this overgrown Victorian garden beforehand. And I think the way the landscape works with the house and the way the house works with the landscape is one of its greatest achievements.
Simon is an engineer and no idea is ever fixed, and that's really exciting. Everything always evolved. A low point would have been having planning refused, obviously countered by the fantastic planning win at appeal. And there were general low points during the build when costs are rising and it's very difficult. I didn't have the hindsight of time or experience to understand if we were delivering what he really wanted and if it was exciting enough and if we were travelling in the right direction at all times, and sometimes there'd be U-turns. But actually as a team, it felt like we always ended up in the right place and exciting things happened and it developed into this amazing house.
This project was really challenging. Technically it was difficult, financially it was difficult. It's one of those projects where you'll always remember it. You're proud to put your name to it because it's, whether iconic is too strong a word, but it is a standout project. So if I could be anywhere in the house and I remember that would probably be on that first floor, on that ground level where you come in, but at the back of the house, looking out over the garden and just looking at this view, because I think that's what sets the house off.
If you're ready to film, I just want to make a deposit first, if that's all right. I know Simon would appreciate that effort. Perhaps we'll see you out on the lawn. We'd worked with Simon for years. When he was developing in the city, he'd been very supportive of us. There was a friendship first, and then there was working with him on this as on a professional basis. because he's such an intellect, he would coax ideas and suggest ideas, and we have a long-standing discussion about not frightening off ideas. He'll know what I mean when he sees that. It's about little creatures on a mountain. And there's a lot of spark between the two of them, as in any good relationship, and they've been on an incredible journey, and I hope they go on and continue that wherever they go to after here, and they'll do something exceptional somewhere else. There's no question, wherever that might be. If there are a couple of words to sum up Simon, mate. He's been a fantastic mate.
Absolutely an acute-minded, intellectual character.
Massive enthusiasm, but that's 2 words.
It is incredible, an incredible mind.
He's meticulous. He's very, very thoughtful in everything he does.
Even while you're thinking about the response to his question, he's on the next question. He's always 2 or 3 steps ahead.
A bit of a phenomenon, really exciting to be around.
But he's also incredibly good fun.
Always pushing the boundaries.
In life, you rarely meet people like that. And for me, I feed off those kind of people. They're just passionate about everything they do in life.
Things like when he did Deansgate Locks is what summed Simon up for me, because it was that seeing something that nobody else could see. I don't think he'll twiddle his thumbs anywhere knowing Simon. He'll always have to have a project on the go. Who knows what it'll be, but he'll be doing something.
I hope he's really touched. I think it's a really lovely thing that Soraya's doing, and it's in the nicest possible way, the end of a chapter, and a reflective thing in a positive way. So I hope he's pretty excited without being too embarrassed.
It's nice to come back to a job, because so often, you're involved in a project and you see it through, you live it for a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is, and then that's it, it's done. You might drive past it and think, oh, I was involved in that. But it's nice to come back, meet the people that you've worked closely with over the years doing it, talk about the project and see it, and see the happiness it's given Soraya and Simon or whatever. It's good to come back and do that.